Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the TB&J podcast. With me today, as always, is Troy Brittingham.
Across from me is Jeff Ackerman.
And Chris Carroll across from me on the other side of the country. What's up, buddy?
I've come to you through the power of the internet.
Yes, everyone said the internet would only be used for evil, and sure enough, Chris is here today, so you draw your own conclusions.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't read, we are doing Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. That's not a mouthful at all. Episode 4.
Rings the Rings.
Numero cuatro, if you're one of my Espanol friends.
And there goes that demographic.
Jeff took French in high school.
I did. Which would be nombre quatre. Or nombre quatre.
And as you can tell, it went great.
I think I failed my second year of French, and I didn't bother picking it up.
How?
Third year. Because I didn't give a shit.
I mean, you could say that about your entire high school career.
No. My high school career was very expertly crafted in that I got an A in the first 2 marking periods because that gave me enough points to pass the class. So then beyond Christmas, I could just sleep and not do homework, and they couldn't actually fail me.
There was a lot of weeks where Jeff would disappear from school really conveniently
Not
around
for a whole week.
Really?
Never for a whole week.
Mm-hmm. Really conveniently around the release of like a Gears of War or something.
You know, I do remember hearing stories about that because this was before I joined the friend group.
In 9th or 10th grade, I remember...
you joined the friend group?
Good friend David Yuza, friend of the pod, he had let me borrow Assassin's Creed 2 and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood for 360, and I skipped school that Thursday and Friday, and Assassin's Creed 2 I had 100%ed by Monday. Even all the feathers, like, I had fucking 100%ed that game in, like, 4 days. Yeah, but enough about my sad life.
Jeff, how are you not drowning in pussy at all times?
I know, right? It's just phenomenal. I mean, of the 3 of us, I'm the only one engaged, so, like,
He is the closest one to being married.
So, I mean...
Yeah, well, I'm the only one who owns a house, so fuck you.
Yeah, all right. Property ownership is a pie-in-the-sky dream for people our age.
Well, I'm renting and unengaged.
Speaking of ownership, I got nothing. Lord of the Rings.
Good segue.
Jeff Bezos sure does own a lot.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Jeff Bezos, man, that guy sure does own a lot. Oh,
now that's a man who uses the internet for evil.
Can I shoot on Jeff Bezos for a second? Dee's not here to reel us in, so it's fine.
Okay.
So Amazon Prime has the exclusive streaming rights to Thursday Night Football for the NFL. So when I was watching football Thursday night, I was watching the Chiefs and the Chargers. I was watching this game between sets while I was at a concert because I was just bored. So I just pulled up my phone and I was watching the game. Anyway, they kept cutting to Bezos sitting with Roger Goodell in the stands, and Goodell looked like he wanted to be anywhere else but there. He looked so fucking annoyed and just so like, I'm only here so I don't get fined.
It's really bad when you look at Roger Goodell and you're like, that's the good guy out of the 2 of them.
I watched Goodell tell a joke, and Bezos went from stone face to chuckling for 2 seconds to stone face. It's like he said, Alexa, chuckle.exe. Like, he just fucking is a robot. He's the dumbest human being I've ever seen try to act like a human being. Like, he and Zuckerberg might be tied for, like, I'm pretty sure they're an android.
And they're both getting buff, I believe.
Yeah, because what else do you do when you have money and you've already done everything?
He could probably just hire people to make him buff.
It's like when you hit endgame in Skyrim and you've already maxed out your stealth archers, you're like, I might as well try out destruction magic, because, I mean, what else is there to do? Just get everything to 100.
Honestly,
anyway.
He could just have, like, an entire crew around him at all times, CGIing him in real life to make him look buff. That's how much money Jeff Bezos has.
He's constantly wearing, like, a green suit, and he's just getting CGI'd to look better to all of our eyes. Because we have Amazon Prime eyewear now.
If you take a picture with your own phone, you look at it and you're like, oh, I'm going to take a picture and expose his green suit, and you look at it and he's just buffing your phone. You're like, how does
he's just buff, naked, and very well hung.
just chiseled, sweating.
Absolutely chiseled. Meanwhile, his ex-wife just sold a bunch of her property and is giving all the money to charity.
Huh.
She's a good person.
Anyway, we're like 5 minutes in. We haven't talked about Lord of the Rings yet. We've only shit on
fuck?
Bezos. Daddy Bezos is a monster.
Bezos is sort of like Sauron?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. What if when they finally show Sauron, he's Jeff Bezos?
He just takes
No. It's going to go into like a successive joke where they pull off the mask and it's Omni-Man, and then they pull off the mask again and it's Homelander, and then they pull off the mask again and it's Jeff Bezos.
Or it's just a smaller mask.
There's nothing stopping them from doing a crossover with The Boys or Invincible.
I mean,
they could.
The viewership would probably drop.
They just turn into like Monday Night Raw.
Who am I kidding? Viewership would
Hell
shoot
run,
up with
brother. I'm gonna take you downtown.
The cream rises to the top, Homelander. Yeah.
We should talk about this episode. What's our thumbs up and thumbs down?
What are you talking about? This is entirely
Oh my God.
how the episode went.
That's John Cena's music.
Oh, because he puts the ring on and turns invisible.
Yes!
I just want to see the Undertaker fight the Balrog.
You listen here, Balrog. This is Hell in a Cell, and only one of us is leaving here alive.
He's gonna drop him 16 feet through the announcer's table.
Yeah, him falling with the Gandalf falling with the Balrog is actually just a suplex.
Absolutely. Oh my God. And
And then he has to
Gandalf?
rebrand. Gandalf has to rebrand as Gandalf the White.
Exactly. He switches from like Monday Night Raw to AEW, and he has to rebrand because Vince McMahon owns Gandalf the Grey. So he's like, I'm Gandalf the White now.
Somebody starts to he's like,
No.
you don't want to get sued here.
Yeah, no. McMahon owns that. We can't use that. Jesus Christ, Rings of Power. This episode had a lot of shit happen, and it was a really good episode.
Yeah, so thumbs.
Thumbs. Troy.
Thumbs up.
Chris.
Thumbs up.
Jeff. Thumbs up. That's 3 thumbs up. Right up my butt.
No. We need more discourse. I'm changing to a thumbs down. I want to be a contrarian.
Okay, perfect. Be contrarian. That's your
I'm
role.
interested to see what your thumbs down.
You know,
will
we're
be.
keeping it with the wrestling theme because Chris just turned heel.
Chris turned heel, right?
Everything needs a bad guy.
I'm glad that we picked an episode where the only person who watches wrestling is not on this episode.
That's so true. D loves AEW and he's not here. Oh my God, I don't think D's even watching Lord of the Rings.
No,
not even
absolutely
in their
not.
spare time. So of the characters we saw Aaron Deere. He had some great shit happening as Elfman, right?
We met Adar.
We met
Sounds like
Adar.
a World of Warcraft character.
Yeah, and I think Adar is an elf. Chris, did you get that?
He's very clearly an elf.
Okay. I was like, that doesn't look like an orc. He's got slightly pointy ears. And they started speaking Elvish, and I was like, oh, shit. Why are they following an elf? I literally don't understand this.
Man, I didn't think
like-
Jeff would miss subtext on that.
I mean, I always miss the forest for the trees. But it was really, They're really trying to go for that, like, there's traitors among every race that are willing to join Sauron thing, and they want you to be a little paranoid. It's like, ooh, who's gonna join Sauron and the Black Army next? Which one of us among you? Is it the tavern owner? Yes, it is. He's definitely a traitor. Absolutely.
It's also Theo.
Theo,
bitch.
I don't know. Because, like, Theo, while he does do some mischievous shit, he does seem to kind of be good. Because when the tavern owner grabs his arm and gives him the whole Sauron speech, he's very clearly scared and wigged out. I don't know if he wants Sauron necessarily. He just wanted power. So, like, he might have kind of a Kylo Ren arc in that he takes the power because he wants to be powerful, but doesn't actually want to be Darkseid at the end of it. So he ends up turning back. Maybe it'll be like the death of his mother or Arondir that like forces him back to the good side or something. Which, by the way, Arondir should not have survived that.
Probably
Absolutely, he dies in Lord of the Rings. That's definitely your Boromir moment, and he did. Right? Are we in agreement here?
not. I mean, we watched the episode. He didn't die.
I know, but
He's
should
gonna
have
die.
died.
He's definitely gonna die.
Like, all the orcs are sitting there in the forest, and he's in the clearing with his sword up. There were archers among those orcs. Just fucking shoot him. You can shoot him.
He did catch one arrow out of the air. Maybe he can catch 45. Who knows?
So when they got into the clearing and they start leaving, you could see them shooting arrows at them, but they're falling short of him. So they were out of range. Okay. That being said, I totally expected when they were holding them off at the clearing that one of the arrows was going to shoot the woman in the chest. He was going to be all sad.
They did do the slow-mo somber song, echoey voices sort of trope.
Wait a minute.
So
I may
Jeff, did you watch the wrong episode?
No, I had a theory, but I think that theory just got squashed in my head when I thought about it. I'll voice it so that I can sound like an idiot on tape. I was wondering if the orcs were like ordered to let him escape because he was given that message from Adar to deliver to the survivors at the Elven Tower. So, like, I was wondering if they were like, fight him, but like, make sure he escapes and makes it back to the tower to deliver the message. But then I was like, those were two separate bands of orcs. And at that point in time, they were more focused on the sword the kid had. So, like, they probably didn't give a shit about him anymore. I don't know. And plus, I don't know if orcs think things through like that. I mean, not to be racist against orcs here, but, like, I don't think orcs are, like, the most intelligent soldiers.
Lord of the Ring orcs, not.
Lord of the Ring orcs.
Yeah, right.
D&D orcs are different.
Yes.
They're very intelligent.
Yeah. J.R. Tolkien, does not
No, D&D orcs are still pretty dumb. Half orcs are intelligent because they're sentient beings.
Yeah. I don't know high fantasy enough to state anything about orcs or correct you. I'm just gonna go with you, Chris, because you've played more tabletop RPGs than me and Troy combined. Actually, that's a lie. Troy might be the leader there of the nerds. Either way, doesn't matter.
No, I think it's still me. And I will have no one usurp my throne.
I'm so sorry. You've definitely played the most World of Warcraft, and I think that gives you the nerd title.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely the king there.
I don't play it anymore, thankfully.
Favorite part. Once again, I'm just all about every time they cut back to Elrond and Durin again.
You love dwarves.
I don't even really like. Usually, they're kind of the thing that I don't care about the most. But something about
every time I've ever played an RPG with you, you're always about dwarves. Maybe I've caught you on the really weird, like, rare cases.
Maybe, because I don't think I've ever played, like, a dwarf in something. Not that I can think of.
Go on.
What was I saying? Oh, the banter between the two of them, the fact that I trust you as a friend, but not really the situation. Like, they're not, like...
Oh, yeah.
They're not, like... They're not doing the thing where it's just like, I don't know about my friend, and if he is telling me the truth or anything. It's like it's very much like something's going on with this guy on both ends, and they're like, something's going on with this guy, and I just want to talk to him because we're friends.
That's my favorite part about their relationship, because Durin is very much like, I love Elrond, he's my best bud, but like maybe his boss, the king, is like scheming about the dwarves, and he's using Elrond as a pawn. He doesn't believe Elrond has any ill intent, but he's just like, maybe the elves are being weird and stupid, because I don't know exactly the history of Middle Earth, but I know elves and dwarves ain't always best buds. So
I also like his like what's the detective
Batman?
No, not Batman.
Sure.
God, let's talk about Batman again.
I was gonna say who's the just one more thing guy. The guy's he's I can't think of his name. I'll come up with it later.
Okay.
But like the Sherlock moment where he's looking he's like
Watson?
No.
Okay.
But he's looking around, and his wife's Durin's wife lies to him, and he's just like, well, why are you making this meal that takes so long to prepare, and how come you got the
his axe is still here.
He didn't leave his axe or whatever. Like it's like a whole sort of thing like that, and then it leads to that they are discovering Mithril.
Yes, Mithril.
Mithril.
You need a level 20
or Mithraud.
But like I thought that whole sort of arc, and I don't know tons of Lord of the Rings stuff. Does this eventually lead to Balrog things or no?
So with the Balrog, they develop something called it's like a gold sickness where they just get too greedy, so they keep digging down and down and down. I don't think it was based on mithril. I think it was just gold. Like, they just kept mining for more gold veins, lower and lower, which eventually disturbs the Balrog.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I believe the Balrog's always there, like, deep, deep, deep under the mountain, and it's not until the greed of the dwarves overtakes them.
Gotcha.
Just to directly restate what Chris said.
I was thinking about Columbo, by the way.
Columbo.
Yes.
Okay. Not Sherlock.
Not Sherlock.
Or
no.
Batman.
It was more of the. I was trying to think of like the just one more thing.
Yeah. So this might lead eventually to the Balrog in like 100, 200 years maybe, but this is certainly before any of that. The Balrog is what basically brings about the end of dwarves, right? Or at least certain cities of dwarves.
The end of this city of dwarves.
Yes.
Because I mean, dwarves are still definitely around by the time of Fellowship.
Yeah, for sure. It's just not anywhere near their original numbers, because Balrog's killed them all, I guess. So that's some shit. What do you guys think of Numenor and all their bullshit going on?
It's cool.
Speaking of Numenor, I think that we said last time that we didn't think that Numenor really came up before. I believe Numenor's the thing that Aragorn becomes king of. I think he's a Numenorian.
Aragorn?
Yeah.
Huh.
I think I distinctly heard somebody say something about that, like, later on, who hasn't even been watching the show. And then, like, it clicked in my head, and I was like, huh, that thing that we said was inconsequential and didn't matter?
Possibly.
Didn't matter, but wasn't...
I'll do some research. Chris,
I mean,
you were going to say something?
Nothing in particular, but with Numenor, I don't think they, like, ever make an appearance during the actual movies. Like, sure, Aragorn becomes their king, but do they really, help with anything?
I don't know. I just was immediately confronted with the fact that we were like, I don't think that it really is ever mentioned or said anything in the original movies, and we could have been wrong about that. But that's not that's besides the point. But what we were saying, what happens in this sort of arc of it?
Yes, in Numenor. Talk about Numenor, Troy. Throwing this to you. I'm doing research.
So, at this point, they're trying to get Galadriel out of the city, and it pretty much ends up being, they're like, yeah, you just went and stole a bunch of, basically just went and stole a bunch of secret documents from us. You can't do that while you're a prisoner here. Threw her in jail. She breaks out, and then the official ruling is like, you have to leave for good, for real this time. And as
she meets the infirm king.
Yeah, the bedridden king. He's dying.
He's got ligma.
Yes, real bad ligma. And then the petals start falling, which apparently signals like whenever the
Valar are unhappy.
They make a really bad decision. They have an instant like game show thumbs down button.
That was me giving my thumbs down for this episode.
Ooh, the petals descend upon the podcast from the Chris tree. Yeah, but at the end of it, it shows that they brought Galadriel back after the petals started falling, and they're going to send actual help to
clarify your statements, okay. Troy. At some unspecified point between right now in Rings of Power and the very end of Lord of the Rings movies, Numenor gets washed under the waves.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
so in her vision,
that vision ultimately does come true, and Numenor does get washed under the waves. Aragorn is not king of Numenor.
Aragorn is Numenorian.
He's descendant of Isildur.
Gotcha.
Who is Numenorian?
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
Because that was laid out in Lord of the Rings,
yes.
The movies. Isildur being the one with the sword and the destined king, and Aragorn is a descendant of him. So yes,
that all makes sense.
He's got Numenorian blood,
and that
but the
also
city
means,
itself is gone.
That also means that Isildur is probably going to become some sort of great hero that we all love and appreciate, and he does no wrong.
Oh, absolutely. Same with Galadriel. I'm sure they're just going to have like unceremonious just rises to power,
happy
and everything's going to be great. Happy
yeah.
endings. Totally. No. just straight up, no, that's not gonna happen.
I do sort of like the fact that this episode's like, they talk about how the starfall marks Sauron's coming. There's a bunch of Harfoots,
which supports my theory that the man is Saruman.
You mean Sauron?
No, Saruman.
Okay,
the wizard.
All right, I believe you.
Christopher Lee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think that they'll get Christopher Lee back to change into this guy?
From the dead?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
They've got the budget. Jeff Bezos has the budget. If anyone can reanimate the dead, it's Bezos.
Could you imagine coming back from the dead and you're just like, oh my god, what happened? How did...
Here's your lines.
They brought me back, and you're just like, hey, we need you to be in Lord of the Rings.
Here are your lines. I need you to get into wardrobe. It's just over here. And he's
Christopher Lee might do it.
If he came back from the dead, he'd want to spend his precious time alive doing another Lord of the Rings thing.
Bring him back once.
Wasn't Christopher Lee like a huge Tolkien fan?
Yeah. Oh, and he's a big theater kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Him and Ian McKellen, big theater kids.
And World War II soldier.
Also, yes.
Yeah, there's the story about how he told off the director, like, that. No, that's not how someone sounds when they get stabbed in the spine.
Yeah. Happy stories all around, guys. Wasn't World War II just a big old party?
Mm-hmm. So
it ended with a bang.
Oh, boo.
2 of them.
Oh, so the rest of this episode.
The rest of this episode, Chris
who else
will
do
not
we
be making an
follow?
appearance. But what I was saying beforehand. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Finish your thought. I'm sorry. I was doing research. I wasn't listening.
Yeah. So there's the Starfall that apparently marks Sauron's coming. The Numenorians are going to go help fight in the Southlands. Theo has the sword. It's starting to really feel like they're like, it's like, here's this big battle that's going to happen that ultimately is basically like everybody meeting together to like give Thanos all the Infinity Stones.
Yeah, it kind of feels that way because we, as the viewer outside of the show,
we got people making the rings in the other side of the world. Like,
yep, and we understand that Sauron does rise again to power, so we know that whatever they're planning, it goes wildly wrong. We just don't know how, and I'm very excited to see how.
Well, it's like you're seeing it all fall apart, but they do a good job of like nobody's like an idiot.
No,
other
nobody's
than
an
Theo.
idiot.
Theo is. But
I mean, Theo's
God,
an idiot, but
Theo sucks.
they all have really good intentions, and they all think they're doing the right thing. And the way they talk, it does sound like they're doing the right thing.
Yeah,
and they're
the logic,
gonna stop the
logic,
bad guy.
The logic actually pans out. It's not just real dumb stuff.
It's not just like somehow Palpatine returned. Like, no, it's actual logic I'm following from A to B to C to D. And it seems like the good guys might actually win this, but we know from the abstract thing of being outside the show, they do not win this. So
We have a bit of dramatic irony.
Yes, some dramatic irony.
What
That's the words I was looking for.
What type of curveball would it be though if they just fucking killed Sauron in the show though?
It's,
And
you want
then
them to
next season, and somehow Sauron returned.
Ooh, I mean that's kind of what's happening in this season.
I didn't realize Kathleen Kennedy was a co-executive producer on this show.
Kathleen's fine.
Sure, whatever. She didn't just ruin my movies. I don't blame her single-handedly.
I know. It's just
I blame JJ, actually.
You want to know who I blame single-handedly? Theo.
I blame Theo as well. That fucking
Theo
idiot.
sucks.
So now the orcs know where the hilt is, and Theo knows exactly what he has, thanks to the tavern guy telling him what it is, and not taking it back either. He's just going to trust this kid to do the right thing. I
or
guess
the wrong thing.
Or, I mean, the right thing in his eyes. The wrong thing for sure.
No. I've heard that all marks of a good villain is when somebody, wakes up and goes, I'm going to be evil and do the bad thing today. That's what makes a compelling villain most of the
I
time.
feel like that would be like a throwaway joke in like a DC animated show. Lex Luthor wakes up and he's like, what an evil morning. I can't wait to do evil today.
I didn't know that Cake plays him in Harley Quinn.
Who?
Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you were going
uh,
to say Taika Waititi.
No.
Yeah.
I saw a clip the other day and it blew my mind. I was like, there's no more perfect person to be the voice of
Rahul
Lex
Kohli
Luthor.
plays Scarecrow.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of really good shit in that show.
I should actually watch that show.
You really should. You'd fucking love it. It harpoons the fuck out of like DC Comics and like hardcore DC fanboys, and it skewers Zack Snyder. It's wonderful. It's deeply wonderful. It makes me very happy.
But this isn't an episode about Harley Quinn. I
could go on for hours and hours about how awesome the Harley Quinn show is. Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. So, Chris, what was your favorite part?
Favorite part was definitely Arendir saving.
You love the Arendir plotline.
It's the only one that has some action in it so far.
That is fair.
I mean, do you not care for the diplomats and politics happening with Galadriel at Numenor?
It needs more trade embargoes, like in Star Wars Episode 1.
We need a peace, a trade treaty. We need more Viceroy.
You're canceled for the voice.
We need more Viceroy. That's what we need. We need more Viceroy.
No, you're canceled for the new Gunray impression.
All right, that's fine. Fucking Newt Gunray. Who gives a shit about Newt Gunray? We're the Newt Gunray stands in the world. No, but you're absolutely right. Galadriel is interesting to me just because I know where she ends up, and I'm very curious to see how she gets there. So every time she's on screen, I'm like, yes!
Don't get me wrong. Those plot lines are very nice, and I'm enjoying them immensely. I am, however, enjoying Arendir's plotline a little bit more because there's action and things going on.
He's a badass.
Chris,
and I mean,
you're Jeff.
That's being said, Theo's also a part of that plot line, and goddamn, do I hate Theo.
That's true. If that storyline can carry Theo, you're good to go.
His only redeeming quality is that his mom is a MILF.
Jesus. Borwin, I think her name is.
Arendir agrees.
Yeah, Arendir definitely agrees with that. And now he's back in the tower. They let him go with the message that they can either swear fealty and surrender the Southlands, or they can all perish and die. And it's like, they kind of knew that, I think. I mean, that was always kind of the deal. I don't know why you let this guy go and you gave them a warrior to fight with them, because now you've just fucked yourself, right? Like, there's no way this ends good for what's his name, Adar. Like, I don't see this ending happily. His head will be on a spike somewhere. Throw it off the edge of Mount Doom, for fuck's sake. Who cares? What do you guys think of the fucking the King of the Dwarves, Doran's dad? I think he's a sneaky little bastard. What do you think, Troy?
I don't know. Once again, I always like whenever there's like a situation that I've seen 1,000 times before and it plays out differently than I'm used to seeing. Like when he doesn't go super tropey. When he's just like, yeah, you made a mistake, you fucked up, you don't have to apologize. It's okay. I love you. You're my son. Like
he didn't say I love you.
Yeah, but it's, you know what I mean.
I mean, dwarves never say I love you. It's not in their vocabulary.
It's much different than like really kind of like hacky written sort of more mediocre versions of that scene where it's like, Now I have a disapproving dad who like thinks that I'm wrong about everything, and now I have to deal with it. Yeah, like it's like
then Elrond gives his speech about how and then Elrond gives a speech about how his dad literally became the moon, and I was just like, wow, I didn't know Sokka was in this show.
That's rough, buddy.
Yeah, it's rough, buddy. And he's just like, if I could have one more conversation with my dad, I'd love to. You ungrateful little shit. Go fucking apologize to your dad. And Jared's like, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. It's like, what the fuck? But when they're in the mithril mines and Durin's saying how mining mithril is incredibly perilous because dwarves have died, and his dad is being very cautious about it all. I'm wondering if I don't know. I don't think it's supposed to play this way, but I was like, his dad's got an ulterior motive. There's something deeper happening here. He wants to shut down the mithril mining for another reason, and I don't know what it is. Because there's no way he just cares about the suffering of dwarven lives. No,
well, that's because you live in a real world with real politicians.
Yeah.
The idea of somebody being the king and also nice is just unfathomable.
No, that doesn't happen. That's why Lord of the Rings ends before we see Aragorn's actual reign as king, because you don't want to see how he is as king, because he's just going to not care about people.
Yeah, they look at his tweets from like 5 years prior, and there's some really bad stuff in there. So he gets canceled.
Why does the king have all this power anyway? Oh, let me delete this tweet real quick. I don't think that a water getting a sword from a lake is any basis of government.
It is. You don't know who could pick up that sword.
Yeah, exactly. I was going for the Monty Python bit.
I know.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying.
Okay. The Holy Grail.
I mean,
Classic.
I mean, it's a good point though. I'm
Yep.
just saying.
It's a great point. Chris, what was your biggest problem with this episode?
Yeah, you gave the thumbs down, the very real thumbs down.
I mean, have I not made it perfectly clear? It's Theo.
I mean, but Theo is written, I think, for you to hate.
Theo should have been fucking killed 10 times over this episode, and he only survives because of some stupid plot armor bullshit.
Yeah, the orcs definitely should have had him dead to rights. But, like, between their incompetence and then some, like, perfect saving timing by Erendir, he manages to make it out unscathed. Minus that little cut in his leg, which I hope gets infected, you little shit. I hope you have a blood poisoning now.
I did find it very funny when he got hit on the head with a fucking bucket.
Dude, that was awesome. And the camera work for that scene was amazing. When the orc's taking a swig from the bucket and the water drips down, like, on the lens. It, like, felt like I flinched. I was like, ugh. And I was like, why am I flinching? It's a fucking TV show. It's not actually water falling in my face. But, like, they did a really good job.
That's whenever you know that there's, like, good cinematography. Like when we reviewed Nope, there's a bunch of scenes where you and I were literally just like, all right, and I'm just gonna stop breathing for a second.
Yep.
Feel uncomfortable, and all right, now I can
That's
breathe
also
again.
because Jordan Peele's a fucking genius. Like, let's not belittle that. Jordan Peele's a fucking genius.
Everyone watch Nope.
Watch Nope for real. Just go fucking do it for real.
Nope.
Any predictions for what's gonna happen next? I mean, Galadriel has her army now, and Halberd is not going. He has no intention.
I mean, I might finally get my my wish of just, you know, a big Lord of the Rings style Citadel battle soon. So
Isildur's volunteered.
They're gonna start the fight up at the Citadel, and then they're just gonna overlay the footage from Helm's Deep, and none of us will be any the wiser.
It just has like a different filter over it.
Wait, the Citadel? What?
The Elven Watchtower.
I'm just saying. Yeah.
Oh! You said the Citadel. My first thought was Mass Effect, and I was like,
no.
What?
You know,
What?
hey, you know the word has existed before Mass Effect, right?
What?
Yeah,
This
it
is
existed
news
in
to
Fallout
me.
3, which is the Pentagon in DC.
That's true. That's true. Did Fallout 3 come before Mass Effect?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I think Mass Effect was a launch title on the 360.
What about Renvar Citadels in Battlefront 1?
Because if you remember, Mass Effect 1 was originally a 360 exclusive. It wasn't on PlayStation. Mass Effect 2 was the first one that was cross-plat.
I feel like I was ignored.
You were, on purpose.
Let's
Because
ignore
your opinion
Troy some
mean nothing
more.
to me. I'm excited for a big battle. I don't think we're gonna get that. I think next week is gonna be all the people we didn't see this week. We're gonna get back to the Harfoots and all their bullshit with fucking Mystery Man, Saruman.
I feel like I asked this before. How many episodes is this?
I believe it's 10.
10. So
It's
this
10
is
or 8. I can
4?
get that number for you in just a sec. I'm just gonna. No, don't fill time while I'm googling the question you asked me.
I won't. Don't worry.
Sorry, I'm also looking stuff up.
Yeah. Great job being a co-host, Troy. You're really fucking great at this.
No, you guys are doing a good job. I think that people like it when you just look up information.
Yeah, and you're just dead quiet, dead air. That's always.
I wanted
the
to make
best
sure I
thing.
wasn't, interrupting you.
No, Jeff was right. Mass Effect did release first.
Thank you. I was right.
That's what you're researching.
Because Fallout 3 was 2009.
2008,
and,
dipshit.
2008.
Loser.
Yeah, and Mass Effect 2 was like 2008 or 9. Because I remember when 3 came out and I was still in high school, so that had to be like 2011, 2012. Because it came out right on the heels of Gears of War 3. Because I remember there were a lot of 3s that year. It was Modern Warfare 3, Gears 3, and Mass Effect 3.
So
Jeff only knows this shit because he took time off from school.
yeah. Instead
fucking-
of actually
he fucking
learning
ditched
important
it.
things, I was balls deep in Xbox.
Anyway, if it's only 8, then this is 4.
Yeah, so we've only got 4 episodes left.
So
5, 6, 7, 8.
So if you do like one that shows the Harfoots get more involved, Or at least, the ones with...
They're not getting involved in the war.
Not getting involved, but their whole plot line...
The Harfoots are going to cross path, just in front of the Elven Watchtower, and meanwhile the fucking Orc army starts bearing down on the Watchtower. They're just like, what the fuck?
God,
and that's how they'll be involved.
Where are the Harfoots in Middle-earth right now?
Oh.
Are they even, in the Southlands? Are they further north?
Nah, they're in Alabama.
No.
Oh.
I don't know if are they anywhere near the Shire? I don't
the Shire
even
doesn't
know
exist yet, I think.
No, it doesn't, because hobbits don't exist yet. But I'm wondering, where are they?
I do not know.
I
They
think
probably
the
mentioned
Harfoot storyline, as well as the Celebrimbor, Durin, Elrond storyline, are not going to be acted upon this season. It's just setting it up. I think we're going to see Arondir, Galadriel, and the fight at the Elven Watchtower be the culminating point of this season, and I think those other two plot lines are for the next season.
Okay. I'm very glad that Galadriel got taken down a peg by Halbrand, and he was like, listen, you're a great warrior, but, you don't know fucking shit about politics. You need to learn, a little bit. Slow the hell down or nobody's gonna like you. And it's nice to see that, while she is this awesome, badass woman on the battlefield, she has a lot to learn before she becomes the wise woman giving random hobbits light in a jar.
I don't understand, Jeff. I was told by the internet that she was Mary Sue, and I don't get it.
A Mary Sue?
Who's lying to me? You or them?
What's a Mary Sue?
You
right.
Heard this? How have you not heard this?
Because I'm not on the internet nearly as much as you.
It's basically whenever people talk about a character who's a female character who's just good at everything and can do everything.
It doesn't even have to be female. It's basically just any character that is super awesome at everything that they do and never fails.
And they call that a Mary Sue?
Yeah, it's more commonly aimed towards female characters.
Yes, that's because fucking everybody's misogynistic.
Yeah.
The reason why it's called a Mary Sue is that it's a callback to a lot of first fan writings where somebody would make up their own character and obviously it'd be a self-insert and they'd be fucking awesome at everything they do and they called it a Mary Sue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's like how to make it something I would understand, like how in the Blink-182 universe, Josie is a terrible, awful slut, but also the girl of my dreams.
Sure.
Or how in Jeff's biography, I am master of the universe and can do no wrong.
I don't know if you got an early copy or not, but that's weirdly accurate.
Yeah, but more commonly with certain internet circles, you can guess the ones.
4chan.
There's most people who are this character has no flaws, and then they'll point to Galadriel, who's just pissing everybody off and being a Karen to people, and you're just I don't think that character's flawless. I think she's just good at fighting.
Definitely flawed. Definitely
she
flawed.
She fucking approaches the battlefield. I'd like to speak to your manager, Adar.
Yes.
I don't think you guys understand, but Sauron's coming, and you all need to care about it. And they're just bitch, what? I don't give a fuck about you. Get out of my house. What are you doing? I'm having dinner. Bye.
She gets thrown in jail in this episode.
She does.
It's really I don't understand how you people
And instead
don't
of self-reflecting, she just paces angrily back and forth. Bitch, you're in a jail cell after being a bitch to everybody for the last, week. What do you think it finally took for them to put you in jail?
She fucking needed the gods to tell them, yo, you fucked up.
Yeah. What
check yourselves before you wreck yourselves.
Yeah, but that's your education on dumb internet
dumb internet stuff. Yeah. Thank you. I can always count on you.
So that's why it's a thumbs down.
Yeah, Mary Sue, awesome. I am super duper excited to see how the rest of the season plays out. I have a question for you guys.
Answer for you guys.
How do you guys feel about shows like this? Not necessarily this exact show, but things where new content is made after original content, and they play with the established lore a bit, bending and maybe breaking the rules. Troy,
you mean Star Wars, the sequel trilogy?
I mean, sometimes, yeah, but because
Star Wars, the all of it. Star Wars Empire, even.
Because, the prequels, right? It was George Lucas's to break the rules, and he did, and people got mad, but, shut up and just, don't watch the movies then. But then, like, other things like this, Lord of the Rings, are getting, like,
Star
review
Trek's
bombed.
a big one.
Star Trek's a huge one, and Lord of the Rings is another huge one where, like, nerds are review bombing it because they're like, you're not following the lore of the books, and this is inaccurate, and that's inaccurate, and fuck this, and it's just like, but it's a good show. We're having fun. At the end of the day, who cares about, like, the solid framework of a fantasy world?
So there's a line that has to be walked with a lot of that of...
Yeah.
You can't fully just do, like, a straight-up recreation of it. Like, there's a lot of people who, specifically Star Wars, talk about, like, Star Wars Legends. And then they're like, how come they just didn't make this story into a movie? And then if you look at a bunch of Star Wars Legends, there's, like, a lot of stuff where it's like there's characters who have died in different times at, like, different places, and it completely contradicts each other. And then there's just stories that are, like, really, really dumb, like Dengar getting lost in the desert and hallucinating that he killed Han Solo, and you're like, what is this?
And then you have Chewbacca getting crushed by a moon.
Mm-hmm. There's all sorts of stuff that, like, some of it, you like, I understand people being frustrated with them, just, like, taking that all out of canon, but at the same time, there was no canon at that point. And then another good example is... one of the movies that finally got me on board with things being like, we need to adapt this, we can't just copy it over, is X-Men Days of Future Past. I saw the trailers for that, and Kitty Pryde's not the main character, and like, they're inserting Wolverine again, and the story's almost completely different, and I was like, this is gonna suck. And then I watched it. It's one of my favorite X-Men movies.
It's a really good X-Men movie. Has nothing to do with the comic storyline, really.
No, absolutely not.
They borrowed a couple elements, but that's about it.
But at the same time, that's always going to lead to certain fan backlash, and sometimes it's going to be more than others. I think that we're in a situation in the time of the internet where it's going to be a lot more backlash all of a sudden. And it, like, you can't completely change. I've always said the one thing that would get me off of Star Wars, there's two things. One's more likely than the other. One, they go real hard into, like, time travel and universes. I think that's a pretty un-Star Wars-y thing that like, they have a little bit of it in Rebels, but it doesn't really, like,
they made it mystic enough in Rebels to where it's not well explained, and it doesn't seem like they'll be using it often, and it's more just an olive branch to the rest of the Star Wars community saying, hey, in another universe, sequel trilogy never happened.
Oh god, speaking of, did you guys hear the Rogue Squadron movie just got canned?
Yes, it did, again.
What the fuck?
I did not hear about this.
Yeah, Wedge Antilles ain't getting his day in the sun yet again. What the fuck, man?
Big sad.
I didn't mean to cut you guys off.
No,
you reminded me that the movie got canceled. But my take on it, as long as you play by at least a loose interpretation of the rules the universe sets up, you can tell your own story.
Well, the other thing is sometimes you use adding new rules is not breaking old rules, and that's another thing that I think people don't focus on a whole lot.
Like, the biggest complaint with the prequels was the introduction of midichlorians, when they were like, it was space wizard magic. It's like, well, now they're explaining space wizard magic instead of just letting it be space wizard magic, because that sounds fucking stupid.
I like that you're using this as a segue to
defend the prequels.
I would not defend the prequels, but make my one gripe with it seem stupid.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Was your one gripe the midichlorians?
I have not been a midichlorians fan. When you put it like that, it really makes me feel like a child. But also,
no, I don't mean to belittle anybody who feels that way. But, like, at the same time,
I'll belittle Troy. You're a child.
I just think that's the dumbest, like, take to have about the midichlorians, was they were trying to explain space wizard magic and try to ground it a little bit, and everyone was like, no, that's fucking stupid.
The thing with midichlorians is that it takes something, like a theme, away from the original material, which is why so many people fell in love with it, because the Force is mystical, it's unknown, it's not well explained. It's something that anybody theoretically could have. They just need to tap into this mystic force. Whereas in the prequel trilogies, it says, you either have midichlorians or you don't. And that decides whether or not you can use the force. So it
get
pisses
that.
a lot of people off because in their minds, like, if this world was real, I could be a Jedi. But then
get
it comes
that.
down to, do I have weird space mitochondria, and are they the powerhouse of my cells?
Let me take the prequels out of this and bring it to comic books, all right? Because
Okay.
Troy had brought up the comic books of Days of Future
Well,
Past.
comic books they're never gonna have consistency or rules.
And that's my thing.
Ah, yes,
Why-
comic books, the things that I don't read.
Yeah. To be fair, I'm a bad comic fan. I haven't read a good Batman comic in years. And I said a good Batman comic. I haven't read a Batman comic in years.
well, then
I guess Jeff's not a Batman fan. He can no longer talk about the Batman movie.
Oh, man. Wah, wah.
In fact, it's being erased. It's no longer a movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
Matt Reeves'
Jesus.
Batman is gone.
Does that mean I get those 12 hours of my life back when I watch it 4 times?
No. It's just blank. Parts
Perfect.
of your
I want to
memory,
keep
though.
those 12 hours going. I
It's
love
blank
watching
parts
it.
of your memory, though. You don't remember the movie itself.
Aw,
Yeah.
sad. Anyway, but like nerds give comic movies so much leeway when they're playing with the rules and changing a lot of things. And especially recently with Marvel, I feel like a lot of nerds have kind of given Marvel a blank check. Just do whatever they want.
Unless you give like a woman a hammer or something.
Unless you give a woman a hammer or an New Zealander the script, then they get mad. But then like when it comes to Lord of the Rings, for example, or a fucking what was the other thing I was thinking of? Doesn't matter, can't remember. People get way more nitpicky, and I don't understand why certain things are allowed to stray from source material and certain things are not. And it bothers me a lot when these double standards get made, and then really good pieces of media, like The Rings of Power, just get unfairly panned as garbage when they absolutely are not. And this show has the biggest budget of any show ever, and it shows. The costume department is blowing it out of the fucking water. The cinematography is amazing. I really feel like I'm watching an extension of those movies, and if you're recreating Peter Jackson's cinematography, that is not an easy feat. Especially if Peter Jackson's not involved. Like, it's really fucking hard to do, and they're doing it. And, like, the storytelling, the writing, all the, like, the world building going on around it, it's absolutely something that pulls me right into that Lord of the Rings world, and that was something I was very skeptical about going into this show. And they're doing it, and they're nailing it, and they are unfairly getting tagged as this garbage because they're playing with some of the rules a little bit. When Marvel's been doing this for 20 years, and they're the juggernauts of the film industry.
Well, I think it's also, it comes down a little bit to, and Marvel's a bad example because it's kind of disprove my my next statement, but it has a little bit to do with like the
Don't let that stop you, though.
Yeah, it won't. Don't worry. I have no problem spewing bullshit that doesn't line up. But it has a little bit to do with like the fan base that something cultivates too, where like and like so Star Wars specifically is a thing where it's just sort of like, yeah, Star Wars is for everyone. Like, it's specifically made with like so many different themes and moving parts where it's just like there's not really many people who can't find one thing in a Star Wars franchise and not like it. But because it's,
even if it's something stupid like Leia stands up for herself, I like that.
And it's
I said stupid. I didn't mean stupid.
Yeah,
I just
Jeff
meant, like,
thinks that women
small.
standing up and being empowered is stupid.
Yeah,
It's
cancel
just
me for
Jeff
that.
Ackerman thinks that women are stupid.
Oh man, thank God my fucking fiance's not home to hear this.
It's okay. I'm texting her.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Thanks. And
Do you got any like? Do you have any like '80s like wife bad stand up jokes?
Oh man, the old ball and chain, man. You know what I mean?
That's not really a joke, but also more in line with what I was thinking that would be, I guess. But no, but,
it's okay because Jeff is the joke.
I had a mouthful of tea, and you almost made me spit it out on my microphone.
But like, Star Wars is a thing where it's like, here, everybody come on in. So it opens it up to a lot more people who are like, which is not a problem. I'm not saying let everybody enjoy your thing is bad, but like, it opens it up to a lot more like people criticizing it and people coming from different sorts of backgrounds and like being against certain things. And like, I don't know if I'm describing this the right way, but like there's certain, you know how sometimes you find like a niche sort of community, like, and I'll give an example that I've been hit with recently. A real niche sort of one that I'm on is Guilty Gear Strive, which is like an anime fighting game.
That is pretty niche because I don't even know what that is.
It's a fantastic game. It's finally kind of getting popularity. The series has been around for like 20 years, and I've only really ever played Strive. But they have a character named Bridget who it started to get some...
I heard about this on Reddit.
Started to get some criticism because this is a character who was always sort of had like a weird sort of backstory that it was like a very feminine man for a bunch of different reasons. Like in the story, there was like some sort of... I'm not going to get into it.
Doesn't matter.
It's anime logic. And then the newest game, they released her as DLC and specifically said that Bridget is a officially trans character, and the devs came out and said it and everything like that. And there are people who are criticizing it, like obviously, like you would 100% predict this, but at the same time, whenever I go into like the Guilty Gear Reddit or like just look inside like community stuff, most of the people in that sort of niche community are all sort of like, yeah, cool, and like everybody's moved on, and then you get destroyed by a Bridget fucking infinitely comboing you in online, and like that's just how it's been, and most of the backlash is kind of from like outside the community, coming in.
You don't say.
And like it's like a weird thing of like the Guilty Gear community is very, very accepting of that change. When if it was like if it was Mortal Kombat, which is like one of the biggest fighting games in the world, if they do that to a character in that, I feel like you'd see a lot more backlash.
Yeah,
it's like the numbers of it.
So my question that I would like a more straightforward answer to, just to put a button on this before we wrap up: does established lore matter? Chris, what do you think?
Yes,
as simply
to a point.
As you can.
Yes, to a point.
Okay, and okay. I'm okay with that answer. I believe
You can't just completely write it off. That's about it.
And no one expects like Galadriel to just like wield the One Ring and just like defeat Sauron by herself. But like
she's gonna pull out a
would
lightsaber and strike down Palpatine.
Or Homelander swoops in and gut punches him. Like that would be a little much. Yeah. But if you're just gonna like play around with it a little bit, but stay within the confines of the rules of the universe, I think that's okay. Troy?
Yeah, like one of the big things is that they're shortening the timeline up considerably, which makes for a better watching experience.
Yeah, and exactly. the other thing that people don't talk about is like they don't talk about it a lot anymore. But there are some things that are different in the original Lord of the Rings movies. Mm-hmm. That like I'm not a big Lord of the Rings person, so I can't name all of them off the top of my head. But like I know that there's people who complain about like fucking Tom Bombadil not being in the movie, and
I brought that up a couple weeks ago.
And they're just like, yeah, because he doesn't do anything. Like he's not really that important. Mm-hmm. So like yeah, you edit stuff down. You like
creative license.
There's a reason that there are writers for adaptations of things, and they don't just read the book and then just make that.
They don't just hand you a copy of the book and say, "There's your script."
That's the script.
Yeah, you still have to make an entertaining piece of media. Yeah, so I think that's where we stand on the whole lore thing. I'm glad D wasn't here to throw in his 2 cents, because this hour podcast would have been 3. Love you, D. You're not going to listen to this anyway. I think that's all we have for this week for Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power. Chris, did you have anything to add?
No, I think we're good.
Troy?
Thumbs down because of the name. It still needs a different name.
Perfect. All right. Thank you all so much for listening to our lovely little podcast. If you liked us, please leave us a kind review on your favorite podcasting platform. Follow us on Twitter at the TB&J Pod. And all the linky doos are going to be in the thingamajig below. And, goodbye.
Thumbs up for MILFs.
Yeah, thumbs up for MILFs, guys. Underrepresented in movies and film.
Thumbs down for Theo.